Pleasure is the beginning and the end of living happily. Epictetus. The pursuit of pleasure. Is this the secret recipe for a fulfilling life? This question, simple yet profound, has intrigued thinkers and seekers of wisdom for centuries. We venture into an age-old philosophical arena, hedonism. Hedonism proposes a fundamental idea: seeking pleasure and evading pain are the most essential and desirable objectives of human existence. Yet beneath this seemingly clear-cut concept lies a rich tapestry of thought, layered with complexity and historical depth. The lineage of this idea can be traced back to the philosophical gardens of ancient Greece, where luminaries like Epictetus postulated that the pursuit of pleasure, in its many facets, is the highest good and ultimate aim of life. This philosophy has resonated through the corridors of time, influencing both the realms of thought and our everyday living. But what does it genuinely entail to lead a life in pursuit of pleasure? Is such an existence as gratifying and straightforward as it appears? Our expedition into the essence of hedonism will guide us across diverse terrains of intellectual debate and introspection. We will dissect the various interpretations of pleasure. Is it the ephemeral delight of an instant gratification, or something more profound and enduring? We will scrutinize the ethical dimensions of this pleasure-centric life. Does prioritizing one's own joy lead to a selfish existence, or can it coexist with a moral and socially responsible life? An essential facet of our journey is the psychological underpinnings of this idea, particularly the concept of the hedonic treadmill. This psychological theory suggests our pursuit of pleasure might be comparable to running endlessly on a treadmill, always chasing happiness but never quite achieving a lasting state of contentment. We adapt to both positive and negative life changes, and our happiness levels tend to revert to a baseline. What implications does this have for the hedonistic quest for pleasure? Does it deem the pursuit of pleasure as futile, or does it invite us to reconceptualize the nature of happiness and its pursuit? In exploring these questions, we will also confront the critiques and challenges it faces. Ethical and moral concerns naturally arise when life's objective is defined as the pursuit of personal pleasure. How does this philosophy reconcile with these concerns, and what insights does it offer about striking a balance between personal joy and ethical conduct? Our exploration is not merely academic. Hedonism has tangible implications in today's world, where the quest for pleasure manifests in everything from consumer culture to the intricacies of social media. We'll investigate how modern society mirrors hedonistic values and what this means for our understanding of joy and fulfillment. Ultimately, we will weave together the various strands of our discussion, reflecting on hedonism's role in the quest for a meaningful life. Is this the key to true happiness, or a path laden with illusions and challenges? Can the principles of this philosophy be woven into a life that is balanced, ethical, and truly fulfilling? Through this exploration, our goal is to not just comprehend hedonism as a philosophical concept, but to ponder its significance and practicality in our lives. Whether you are a philosophy enthusiast, someone exploring different paths to happiness, or merely interested in understanding the human inclination towards pleasure, this journey promises enlightenment, provocation, and potentially transformation. Embarking on our journey through the nuanced landscape of pleasure-focused philosophy, we delve into the core principles that define this intriguing way of life. The central tenet, the cornerstone of this philosophy, is the elevation of pleasure to the status of the highest good. This principle stands as the bedrock upon which the philosophy's entire structure is built. But what is this pleasure that is so fervently sought? Is it a singular monolithic experience, or does it encompass a spectrum of sensations and states of being? The very concept of pleasure, in its broadest sense, is multifaceted and subjective. To some, it may manifest as sensory delight, the pleasure derived from a sumptuous meal, the touch of silk, or the melody of a beautifully composed piece of music. For others, pleasure takes a more cerebral form, the joy of intellectual discovery, the satisfaction of creative expression, or the tranquility found in meditative practices. The diversity in the interpretation of pleasure is as vast as the range of human experience itself. It's a reminder that what constitutes pleasure varies immensely from person to person, culture to culture, and even within an individual's own life journey. This brings us to the intriguing dichotomy between short-term and long-term happiness. The philosophy often criticized for promoting a lifestyle of fleeting momentary pleasures challenges us to reconsider the depth and duration of true happiness. Can a series of short-lived pleasures lead to a state of long-lasting happiness? Or is there a need for a more profound, enduring form of joy that sustains us through the vicissitudes of life? Short-term pleasures, while immediately gratifying, often carry the risk of leading to a sense of emptiness or lack of fulfillment in the long run. The pursuit of such transient joys can sometimes be akin to chasing mirages, endlessly alluring but ultimately elusive. On the other hand, focusing solely on long-term happiness might lead to a life of perpetual striving, where the joy of the present moment is consistently sacrificed at the altar of a future that may or may not bring the anticipated satisfaction. The balance between these two forms of happiness is delicate and complex. It requires a deep understanding of one's own desires and values, as well as a mindful approach to life's choices. The art of living, according to this philosophy, is not merely in the accumulation of pleasurable experiences, but in cultivating an awareness of what brings genuine, lasting contentment. Moreover, the pursuit of pleasure must be understood within the context of one's life as a whole. It's not about relentless indulgence or hedonistic excess, but rather about finding joy in the various aspects of our existence, from the mundane to the extraordinary. It's about recognizing that pleasure can be found in simple everyday experiences. The warmth of the sun on your skin, a meaningful conversation with a friend, the satisfaction of a job well done. This perspective also invites us to consider the ethical dimensions of seeking pleasure. Is the pursuit of personal pleasure compatible with a morally responsible life? Can one's quest for happiness coexist with the well-being of others and the broader society? These questions challenge us to think deeply about the implications of our choices and the impact they have on the world around us. In exploring these questions, we encounter the concept of enlightened hedonism, a form of the philosophy that advocates for a more holistic approach to pleasure. This perspective suggests that true happiness is not found in isolated moments of pleasure, but in a life lived with purpose, meaning, and connection to others. It emphasizes the importance of balancing personal joy with social responsibility, and of finding pleasure in ways that enrich our own lives as well as the lives of those around us. Furthermore, the interplay between physical and mental pleasures brings an additional layer of complexity to our understanding of happiness. Physical pleasures, while often more immediate and visceral, can be fleeting and sometimes lead to diminishing returns. Mental pleasures, on the other hand, such as the joy of learning, the satisfaction of personal growth, and the peace of a well-cultivated mind, often provide a deeper, more enduring sense of fulfillment. This distinction is crucial in understanding the true nature of pleasure. It compels us to look beyond the surface-level delights and to explore the more profound aspects of happiness. It encourages us to cultivate a rich inner life, where the pleasures of the mind and spirit play as significant a role as the pleasures of the body. In this light, the philosophy becomes a journey of discovery, a quest not just for pleasure in its most immediate form, but for a deeper understanding of what it means to live a truly fulfilled and happy life. It's about finding joy in the journey itself, in the process of exploring, experiencing, and evolving. As we navigate through this exploration, we are constantly reminded of the dynamic nature of pleasure and happiness. Our understanding of what brings us joy evolves as we move through different stages of life. The pleasures that delighted us in youth may not hold the same allure in later years. Our capacity for joy matures and deepens, and with it, our understanding of what it means to live a life in pursuit of happiness. Thus, the philosophy, far from being a simple prescription for pleasure-seeking, reveals itself as a complex and nuanced approach to life. It challenges us to think deeply about the nature of happiness, to question our assumptions, and to continually seek a deeper, more meaningful understanding of what it means to live well. The exploration of pleasure as the highest good opens up a vast and varied landscape of thought and experience. It invites us to question, to reflect, and to seek a deeper understanding of the nature of happiness. It encourages us to find a balance between the joys of the moment and the contentment of a life well lived. In this journey, we are called not just to seek pleasure, but to understand it, to appreciate it, and to find in it the keys to a truly fulfilling life. Venturing deeper into the realm of pleasure-seeking philosophy, we encounter a pivotal concept in understanding human happiness: the hedonic treadmill. This metaphorical treadmill represents a psychological phenomenon where an individual's level of happiness tends to remain constant over time, despite significant changes in fortune or achievements. The term, coined in the 1970s by psychologists Brickman and Campbell, has since become a cornerstone in the study of happiness and well-being. This concept challenges the notion that increases in wealth or status lead to lasting increases in happiness. People quickly adapt to changes, both positive and negative, returning to their baseline level of happiness. This adaptation process reflects the human capacity for resilience and normalization, but also suggests that the continuous pursuit of greater pleasures or achievements may not yield the expected increase in long-term happiness. The implications of the hedonic treadmill for the pursuit of pleasure are profound. If our happiness levels tend to revert to a baseline, does this mean that striving for more pleasure or better life circumstances is futile? This question strikes at the heart of the pleasure-focused philosophy and invites a re-examination of what constitutes true happiness and fulfillment. Numerous scientific studies have investigated this idea, providing insights into how and why our happiness levels tend to remain stable over time. Research has shown that people overestimate the long-term impact of major life events on their happiness. For instance, lottery winners and accident victims both return to their previous levels of happiness after a certain period. This phenomenon is not limited to extreme cases. Everyday experiences also demonstrate the human tendency to return to a stable level of happiness despite fluctuations in circumstances. The concept also intersects with the evolution of desires and expectations. As people experience improvements in their living conditions or achieve their goals, their expectations and desires often increase in tandem. This upward adjustment of expectations can lead to a perpetual cycle of desire and dissatisfaction, with each new achievement or acquisition quickly becoming the new norm, thus necessitating the pursuit of yet another goal to maintain the same level of happiness. In understanding the implications of the hedonic treadmill, we must consider the potential for it to lead to a state of existential stagnation. If the pursuit of greater happiness through material gain or external achievements is inherently limited, then perhaps the key to lasting happiness lies elsewhere. This realization can be both liberating and challenging, as it compels individuals to seek happiness in more sustainable and intrinsic ways, such as through personal growth, relationships, and the cultivation of a meaningful life. The critical analysis of this concept reveals its limitations and the need for diverse perspectives. Some critics argue that the treadmill model oversimplifies the complexities of human emotions and experiences. Happiness is not a one-dimensional state, but a multifaceted experience influenced by a myriad of factors, including personality, life circumstances, and cultural context. Additionally, the concept does not account for the possibility that some individuals might experience genuine, lasting changes in their level of happiness due to personal growth or significant life transformations. Another important consideration is the role of individual differences in this experience. Not everyone adapts to life changes in the same way or at the same speed. Factors such as resilience, optimism, and social support can influence how quickly and effectively an individual returns to their baseline level of happiness. This variability suggests that while the hedonic treadmill might be a useful general concept, it does not capture the full range of human experiences and responses to life's changes. Moreover, this concept invites us to explore alternative approaches to achieving happiness. If continuous pursuit of external achievements and pleasures leads to a cycle of temporary happiness and subsequent adaptation, then perhaps the focus should shift to cultivating internal sources of happiness. This could involve developing a sense of gratitude, fostering strong relationships, engaging in meaningful work, and pursuing personal growth and self-awareness. In essence, the hedonic treadmill concept challenges us to rethink our approach to happiness and the pursuit of pleasure. It suggests that a deeper, more sustainable form of happiness might be found not in constantly seeking more, but in appreciating and finding contentment in what we already have. This perspective does not diminish the value of striving for improvement or experiencing joy, but rather emphasizes the importance of balance, mindfulness, and a deeper understanding of what truly contributes to our well-being. This theory offers valuable insights into the nature of happiness and the limitations of pursuing pleasure as a sole means to achieving a fulfilling life. It encourages a more nuanced approach to happiness, one that recognizes the complexity of human emotions and the importance of finding a balance between external achievements and internal well-being. This understanding is crucial in guiding our pursuit of a good life, one that is not just about experiencing pleasure, but also about cultivating a deep sense of meaning, purpose, and satisfaction. One of the most significant critiques arises from the moral and ethical dimensions of a pleasure-focused life. Critics argue that such a philosophy inherently promotes selfishness and indulgence, potentially leading to a disregard for the welfare of others. The ethical dilemma posed by prioritizing personal pleasure above all else raises profound questions about the nature of morality and the responsibilities we hold towards our fellow human beings. The moral critique of a pleasure-centric approach is rooted in the concern that it may lead to hedonistic egoism, where the pursuit of individual pleasure could justify harmful or unethical behavior towards others. This criticism highlights the potential conflict between personal happiness and social harmony. How does one reconcile the pursuit of personal pleasure with the moral obligation to act ethically and consider the impact of one's actions on others? The ethical challenge here is to find a balance between self-interest and altruism, between the pursuit of personal happiness and the commitment to the well-being of the community. Another significant challenge to a life devoted to pleasure is its sustainability. critics question whether a continuous pursuit of pleasure can lead to a truly fulfilling and meaningful life in the long term. They argue that an overemphasis on pleasure could result in a shallow, unfulfilling existence, devoid of deeper purpose and significance. This critique leads us to ponder the longevity and depth of satisfaction derived from a pleasure-centric approach. Is the constant pursuit of new and greater pleasures sustainable, both personally and globally? Does it lead to a never-ending cycle of desire and dissatisfaction, where each new pleasure quickly loses its allure, leading to a perpetual quest for more? These questions challenge us to reflect on the long-term implications of our pursuit of happiness and the kind of life that is truly worth living. Counter-arguments from other philosophical perspectives offer a rich tapestry of alternative views on the pursuit of pleasure and happiness. For instance, Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, advocates for a life of virtue and reason, arguing that true happiness comes from living in harmony with nature and cultivating inner virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-control. Stoics believe that external circumstances, including pleasure and pain, are indifferent to true happiness, which is found in the cultivation of a virtuous character. Another contrasting viewpoint comes from existentialism, which emphasizes individual freedom, choice, and personal responsibility. Existentialists argue that meaning and fulfillment in life are not predetermined or found in external pleasures, but are created through authentic choices and engagement with one's existence. They challenge the idea that happiness is the ultimate goal, proposing instead that living authentically and embracing the inherent absurdities and challenges of life is what gives life its value. Buddhist philosophy also offers a distinct perspective, focusing on the alleviation of suffering through the cessation of desire. Buddhism teaches that attachment to pleasure and aversion to pain are the root causes of suffering. The path to true happiness, according to Buddhism, lies in overcoming these attachments and cultivating qualities like compassion, mindfulness, and inner peace. These diverse philosophical perspectives provide valuable insights into the complexities of human happiness and the pursuit of a good life. They challenge us to think critically about the nature of pleasure and happiness, and to consider alternative paths to fulfillment and well-being. They invite us to explore deeper dimensions of existence, beyond the immediate gratification of pleasure, and to seek a life that is rich in meaning, purpose, and ethical integrity. The critiques and challenges of a pleasure-focused philosophy bring to light the ethical, moral, and practical concerns associated with such an approach. They compel us to consider the broader implications of our pursuit of happiness and to seek a balance between personal pleasure and the greater good. These critiques also open the door to alternative philosophical perspectives, offering a wider lens through which to view the complexities of life and the pursuit of happiness. In exploring these challenges and counter-arguments, we gain a more nuanced understanding of what it means to live a good and meaningful life. In the contemporary landscape, the echoes of pleasure-seeking philosophies are evident in various facets of modern life. These manifestations offer a window into how the pursuit of pleasure shapes our society and individual lives. To fully grasp the modern context of this philosophy, we must look at both its prevalence in today's culture and the ways in which it can be balanced with a sense of responsibility and ethical living. One of the most conspicuous examples of pleasure-seeking in modern society is found in consumer culture. The relentless pursuit of new and better products, from the latest technological gadgets to fashion and luxury items, reflects a collective yearning for the pleasure derived from material possessions. This phenomenon is not just about the utility of these items, but the joy and status they confer. The advertising industry plays a crucial role in this, often tapping into our deepest desires for happiness, success, and social acceptance, thereby fueling the continuous cycle of desire and consumption. Social media platforms also serve as a modern canvas for the display and pursuit of pleasurable experiences. The curated lifestyles showcased on these platforms often emphasize aesthetic pleasure, leisure, and socialization, creating an image of an ideal life centered around continuous enjoyment and fulfillment. This portrayal can significantly influence individual aspirations and lifestyle choices, driving a relentless quest for experiences that mirror those idealized images. In addition to consumer culture and social media, the rise of experience-focused industries such as travel, entertainment, and gastronomy reflects a societal shift towards valuing experiences over material possessions. The growing emphasis on living life to the fullest, often characterized by unique and luxurious experiences, illustrates the modern inclination towards finding pleasure in varied and often extravagant ways. It becomes imperative to consider how one can incorporate the pursuit of pleasure in a manner that is responsible and sustainable. Balancing the pursuit of pleasure with responsibility involves a conscious effort to recognize the impact of our choices on ourselves, others, and the environment. One approach to achieving this balance is through the concept of mindful consumption. Mindful consumption encourages a shift from quantity to quality, appreciating and deriving pleasure from fewer but more meaningful possessions. Another aspect of responsible pleasure-seeking involves cultivating an awareness of the social and psychological effects of our lifestyle choices. This includes being mindful of the influence of social media on our perceptions and aspirations, and striving for authentic experiences that are fulfilling on a deeper level rather than merely replicating idealized lifestyles. Moreover, incorporating responsibility into the pursuit of pleasure also means recognizing the importance of giving back to the community and engaging in activities that contribute to the well-being of others. Acts of kindness, volunteerism, and philanthropy can provide profound pleasure and satisfaction, offering a more holistic approach to happiness that encompasses both personal joy and the joy of contributing to the greater good. The modern context of pleasure-seeking also invites a re-evaluation of our relationship with work and productivity. In a culture that often equates success with constant busyness and achievement, finding pleasure in leisure, relaxation, and self-care becomes an act of balance. It challenges the notion that constant productivity is the sole path to fulfillment, proposing instead that taking time for enjoyment and rest is essential for a well-rounded and satisfying life. As we come to the conclusion of our exploration into the philosophy of hedonism, it is essential to pause and reflect on the journey we've undertaken. We embarked on this exploration to understand the nuances of a life driven by the pursuit of pleasure, and what we found is a complex tapestry of ideas, challenges, and perspectives that transcend mere indulgence. Our journey began by defining the core principle of this philosophy, the elevation of pleasure as the highest good. We discovered that pleasure is a multifaceted concept, varying greatly from individual to individual, and encompassing both physical sensations and deeper intellectual joys. The discussion of short-term versus long-term happiness revealed the delicate balance between immediate joy and enduring contentment, challenging us to reconsider the depth and sustainability of true happiness. We then delved into the psychological underpinnings of this philosophy through the lens of the hedonic treadmill. This concept illustrated the human tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness, despite significant life changes. It challenged the notion that constant pursuit of greater pleasures leads to lasting happiness, urging us to rethink our approach to happiness and the true sources of fulfillment. The moral and ethical implications of a pleasure-centric life were also scrutinized. We grappled with the potential conflict between the pursuit of personal pleasure and the ethical responsibility towards others. The sustainability of such a lifestyle, especially in the context of environmental and social well-being, was questioned, leading us to ponder the long-term consequences of our pursuit of happiness. In the modern context, we observed how the philosophy manifests in consumer culture, social media, and the experience economy. We recognize the need for balance and responsibility in our pursuit of pleasure, acknowledging the importance of mindful consumption, authentic experiences, and a harmonious relationship between work, leisure, and personal fulfillment. Reflecting personally on this philosophical journey, it becomes apparent that the pursuit of pleasure, while a natural and significant aspect of human life, requires careful consideration and balance. It is not the singular path to a fulfilling life, but a component of a broader, more complex equation that includes ethical living, personal growth, and social responsibility. True happiness, it seems, lies not in the relentless chase of pleasure, but in finding a harmonious balance between our desires, our values, and our connections with the world around us. I invite you, the viewer, to reflect on your own relationship with pleasure and happiness. Consider how the pursuit of pleasure shapes your life choices and well-being. Are there aspects of your life where balance could be improved? How do your actions align with your deeper values and the impact you wish to have on the world? Let us take these insights and use them as a guide to navigate the complexities of life. Let us seek pleasure not as an end in itself, but as a part of a richer tapestry of experiences that make up a meaningful life. Let's strive for a happiness that is sustainable, ethically grounded, and deeply fulfilling. Remember, the pursuit of a good life is not just about seeking joy in every moment, but in crafting a life that is, in its entirety, a joy to live. May this exploration inspire you to find your unique path to happiness, one that harmonizes pleasure with purpose, fulfillment with responsibility, and individual joy with the greater good.